Good evening, you're watching The Buck Stops here and I'm Barkha Dutt. On the program this evening, India's eyes are on Gujarat, where 7 people have died in simmering tensions. The army has been deployed in Ahmedabad and the Prime Minister is appealing for peace. All this after a mass agitation led by a young man not even 22 years old, Hardik Patel, asking for reservations for his community. The powerful Patels, the Chief Minister of Gujarat, hails from the community herself and so far has taken a tough stand saying no to any of these demands. On the program today, we'll be asking whether this agitation is about economic dissatisfaction or whether it's about political unrest. And as these demands of a politically powerful community for reservations grow, is this challenging the Gujarat model of growth? That will be a big debate as we keep a close eye on the very, very tense situation in Gujarat. Also coming up at 9:30 tonight, our newsmaker, the India-Pakistan talks have collapsed. Is there a way out of this impasse? Well, the National Security Advisor of Pakistan, Sartaj Aziz, will be the newsmaker at 9:30 from Islamabad. Are you saying that if this continues to be the Indian position, Pakistan will never come to the dialogue table? Because it does look to me like this is very definitely a red line that our government has drawn.
But our red line is that Kashmir must be discussed. And when Kashmir is discussed, at some stage consultation with Kashmiris are involved, because Kashmir is not a matter only between India and Pakistan.
All right, well, let's get started with our top story first. The tension in Gujarat. The army deployed, the Prime Minister appealing for peace there. But so far, the Chief Minister, who hails from the same caste community, the Patels, as the agitators, has said no to their demands. What is the way out of this impasse? Tejas Mehta joins us from Ahmedabad tonight. Tejas, first, are things looking like they are under control? We know the army has been deployed in Ahmedabad.
That's right, in Ahmedabad, the army has been deployed, but actually I'm in Surat just now, and it's the RAF, the paramilitary forces, which are here. It's been a very, very edgy and tense day here. In fact, in the morning it was absolutely shocking because in spite of the violence which took place last night across Gujarat, still there was no police presence, Barkha, on the ground here, and it really beats me because with the knowledge of what really had happened, the large numbers, the absolutely emotive issue, the police should really have been out there. But large number of buses, at least 30 to 40, we have seen on one stretch of the road. Very expensive equipment worth over 10 crore rupees, absolutely burned down. Public, utilities, be it, police vehicles, all of them destroyed. And for the longest, duration of time, the police wasn't there. It was only in the afternoon that they really came down. Tear gas shells were fired across roads over hundreds of meters at these protesters who were there on the road in very, very large numbers. Now, you speak to the Patidar, the Patel community, and they say that this is not just the Patels who are out here. It's the OBC castes and groups who are also opposing what the Patidar Patel community want. They also are, hooligans and antisocial elements who always, are part of any situation like this to take maximum advantage to commit arson or looting. So it's a very complex situation on the ground. But of course, the RAF being deployed now, the flag marches hopefully would have some impact. Barkha?
All right, Tejas, from Surat, we're keeping a close eye on that story. Thanks very much for joining us and bringing us up to speed. And now our main political debate on the buck stops here. The Prime Minister is appealing for peace. The army has been deployed in Ahmedabad. What is the story behind this mass agitation being led by a young man in his early 20s, Hardik Patel, asking for reservation for his politically powerful Patel community? Is there more to it than meets the eye? Is this about economics? Is this about affirmative action? Or is this about politics? And what does it mean for the Gujarat government? And how should How should the government respond? How should the BJP respond? Let's introduce our panel this evening. Joining us on the program today is Professor Y.K. Alag. He's, of course, a very well-known economist. He's been a former minister in the government of India, chairman of the Institute of the Rural Management in Anand. And we've also got the other Alag, Sunil Alag, and we're told that it's very rare that we actually have the two Alag brothers together. So we've been joking ki alag alag lekin saath.
Not only rare, it's the first time. Huh?
Not really rare, it's the first time. All right, also joining us, Hardik Patel, a writer, a Gujarati, but also the executive director with Amnesty International. We're also joined by Malika Sarabhai from Ahmedabad today, classical dancer, social activist. With me in the studio is Ejaz Ilmi, leader of the BJP. And also joining us is Praful Patel, Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament with the NCP. Let me first get an apolitical sense of what is going on. Professor Alag, I'll start with you. What is this about? The fact of the matter is, if you look at the numbers here, 40 of the 120 BJP lawmakers in the state are Patels, including the Chief Minister. So this is not about a community feeling politically marginalized. How did we come to a point where a young man, not even 22, can lead this mass agitation that the army has to be called out?
You see, we are growing very fast, and Gujarat is growing faster than the rest of the country, if you look at the last 10, 15, 20 years or so. And what's happening is that because of the fast growth in the country, agriculture is moving. At the same time, because we don't recognize this. Now in Gujarat, we have something called census towns, which is, we call them villages, 18,000 of them, where there are 2 million people, 20 lakh log, who have moved from villages to these places, which are actually towns. But the Sarkar still doesn't call them towns. They are towns in the census, but you know, because of the politics of being declared a town and panchayats, they are still. This is the pan-India phenomenon.
So you're saying that as growth increases, it's actually creating a certain level of economic churn, and this is reflecting that economic churn even for a community as powerful as the Patels.
No, but what is happening is that we are not creating enough of infrastructure. These people are moving. Demands are going up. The demand for non-grains is growing up more than grains. There's animal proteins, you know, milk products and everything. At the same time, we are not creating enough of market opportunities. You see, why do they want to be another IAS officer? I mean, if any one of the Patel boys is heading a big Amul co-op, he's not going to be a part of this agitation. The plain fact of the matter is that where the Kisan goes, and in many cases he is a Patel, like the Jats here, there are not enough opportunities, there's not enough infrastructure.
Let me just get Hardik Patel into this. Hardik Patel, therefore, then that would throw up a new set of questions for what the BJP and Mr. Modi have proudly called the Gujarat model of growth.
There are many good things about it, and I think it has done very well. The one flaw in it, I would say, is that it hasn't really addressed services, and I will add to what was just said before me. I think that there are very few mobilization, mobility rather, alternatives for Gujarati youth. I had to leave Surat at the age of 24 because there were no white-collar jobs there. I don't think it's very different now. I think the services boom that we've seen in the rest of the country, in Delhi, in Noida, in Gurgaon, in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, has not been seen in Gujarat. You have a lot of blue-collar jobs that have been created by manufacturing. Gujarat is the only major state in India which has a skew of manufacturing over services. Every other state, large state I should say, has a services manufacturing skew, and that necessarily means that social mobility is low. Or what you and I experience in the big cities of India, where the people who work for us, domestic workers and drivers, can get their kids through English school and a job and an access into the middle class, that is absent for the most part in Gujarat. I think what is being seen here is that churn.
Very interesting. And Ejaz, that would then raise questions about how sustainable has this economic growth model been. I mean, of course, Gujarat is dealing with questions that many other states have to deal with. But this argument made by both Professor Alag and Hardik that in a sense the cities haven't grown to create white-collar jobs, that there are young men and women out there who actually don't know what to do for themselves, and therefore they're falling back on the government.
If you look at any of the indicators of growth, as far as vis-a-vis Gujarat is concerned, it's been top of the heap in comparison to most states. It's been industry driven, it's been manufacturing driven, and the job market has been much better. But fragmentation, urbanization, land fragmentation, these issues are pan-India. And obviously, the Patels being a dominant class, whether it's landowners, patidars, diamond industry, well-oiled, well-heeled, well-embedded in the system in terms of agriculture and money. But obviously, it just shows that the urbanization is causing a stress where people are getting left behind and they need to have a safety net.
But you know, we're discussing this like it's abstract, Ijaz. The fact is 6 people are dead. The army is deployed in Ahmedabad. The Prime Minister had to go on to television today to appeal for peace, Sunil. This is not just any other agitation. How does this 22-year-old boy does this? And the political opponents of the BJP would then say that this has to reflect a deeper unrest.
You know, I think I fully agree with what you're saying, and maybe what has been discussed earlier is just part of it. The real root cause is that what have we done with reservation? What we've done with reservation is we began first in education, that we're going to give it to OBCs, that has come to about 60%. Now the Gujars are in Rajasthan and all are asking for reservation. But we then extend it to even employment. If we then take it further, that we will have to employ X% of OBCs. So finally, I think what has happened is this growing unrest amongst the youth is this guy has taken forward, and I think he's becoming another Kejriwal because...
He's becoming another Kejriwal.
I think
Very
so,
interesting.
because Kejriwal took it up on corruption. Now what is happening to... I've spoken to so many young people. They're saying, why do we need to go for reservation beyond education? After that, we should all become equal. So where are the jobs?
So you're saying it not just as economic dissatisfaction, but economic dissatisfaction being channeled into maybe a political alternative.
No, I think a political alternative would be something which I am not, because now Nitish is coming from, he's saying it's a very good thing what he's doing. Even Nitish doesn't know, he's politicizing it. I don't think we should politicize it. What I am saying is keep reservation to education and bring it to an economic level. Everyone, whether you're a Brahmin, whether you're an OBC, if you are below this particular income level, there are X number of seats reserved for you.
So you're saying have an economic criteria for reservation.
And then once you get educated, then it becomes
But you know, I can't imagine any politician at this point agreeing to that.
So
this is such a politicized conversation.
Malika
Sarabai, how do you see it? Praful Patel will be with us in a moment. We'll go to him. But how do you see it, Malika Sarabai? You've been a critic, a trenchant critic of Narendra Modi. The BJP government there has a vast representation of the Patel community, as we've just read out, including the Chief Minister herself. 40 of 120 lawmakers are Patels. So what is going on here?
I think I agree with what the previous speaker said about caste and community-based reservations needing to be stopped and an economic measure to be adopted. If you look at the number of illegal immigrations, the kabutarbazis that have disappeared from Gujarat, I don't think there are very many Patel families who do not have very strongly economically forward family members in mostly New Jersey, but all over America. So perhaps it is something to do with that, that perhaps it's not that outflow has been stemmed and that there are many more young people who are not, because till about 5 or 7 years ago, if you asked any young Patel man or woman, they wanted to migrate. So perhaps that is one. The second is that I have been a critic of any growth model that is not inclusive. Gujarat has probably supplied more billionaires in the last 10 years than anything else, but what about the rest? What about the rest? And I think there are genuinely Patels who are not doing well. And I think Hardik is sort of taking on this role, but economically there are large sections of Patels, like there are large sections of every other community who are not doing well, who are not benefiting from reservation.
Yeah, let me bring in Praful Patel at this point. Praful Patel, decode this for us. Is this economic? Is this aspirational? How do you read this in a state which has long, in a sense, flaunted what it's called its growth models?
Well, I think, the earlier speakers have been talking about the larger issue. I agree it is a larger issue. It's nothing to do with a specific reservation demand. You have the Jats asking for reservation. We have Marathas in Maharashtra, the Patels in Gujarat and so on. So, you see, once you've opened the floodgates and you've decided that, you see, people need some kind of a reservation. I agree. Somebody said that, it should be limited to education.
Yeah, Sunil Alag said that. Sunil Alag here said that.
Yeah, so you have... All right, I don't know who the speaker was. So, all I'm trying to say is he's right. But the fact is, the larger issue is that, as Malika said, all Patels are not wealthy. You see, if you think of just the guys in America or England, and then you compare the rest of the Patels, it's basically an agricultural based, farming community. And they are, not everybody is well off. I have first-hand knowledge of so many villages of Gujarat myself. And therefore, to assume that their demand per se is wrong would be, just, completely politically wrong. See, what the Chief Minister said is that there's no question of giving any reservation, we can't do it legally and so on. The least they could have done is that because it's aspirational, see the question you raised, people want to see a better future for themselves. And as Hardik himself gave an example of his own family, where his sister got 94% marks and could not go further into her education because of the merit system, the reservation for other castes. And as a consequence, he felt the need for raising this issue within his own family. So therefore, the larger issue here is that the least the government should have engaged with them rather than dismissing them summarily.
But do you support the demand, Praful Patel? Mr. Patel, do you support the demand in principle? Because I think the point being made here is that quotas have become such a politicized thing that now every community is standing up and asking for its slice of the pie, and politicians who represent that community are unable to say no.
Tell me one thing, which politician, and why, therefore, I heard the Prime Minister's appeal today on television. He said we have to sit, talk, engage with each other. So what does talk and engagement mean? It means that there is some merit in it. There is some way to be found out in this. Now in Maharashtra, every Maratha is not a wealthy Maratha. You have people who are demanding reservation there also. I know the plight of so many people who are not very well off. So I think, that's what I said. The larger issue, then again, it will have to go back to the drawing board. The day you introduced Mandal and accepted it as a philosophy and enacted it in Parliament, you have therefore opened the gates for other people also who've been left out to ask for inclusion. And as a consequence, this will continue until at one stage where, as Sunil suggested, you decided where to draw the line in terms of where does the reservation stop. The reservation doesn't stop only at education. See, now you see there's another issue. Very few people will understand that today have elections to panchayats, to nagar panchayats, to zilla parishads. They are also now reservations in those elections. So the communities which are so that's what I'm saying. So
where does it stop?
We have extended it to such a vast. We have extended to such a vast area and canvas that therefore the aspiration of people, even politically, somebody like Hardik may have a political ambition. He may be feeling left out because of certain issues. So I think everybody has voiced his concern in some way or the other.
So let me get your panel to respond to what you're saying. Very interesting points. Very candid by Praful.
But I'm agreeing with Praful. The problem is that even if you're giving reservation in perpetuity is the problem. So if you are saying certain amount of OBCs, yeah, Praful, just one second.
But Sunil, we have stopped drawing a line.
I know.
We have continuously ceded space and went on and agreed to give further and more and more.
Absolutely. So we are bringing
can't blame anybody.
Praful, you're right. We are bringing the nation down to the lowest common denominator now, rather than progressing.
So how should the Anandiben government respond? Praful Patel says it was wrong of her to outright say no.
Which is okay. Now 1 second. Now we are coming into
a problem. She's been making appeals. She's been making appeals for the last 1 month. It's very, very evident.
I have one more point to say. That first, most importantly, they must be talked to. They have to be engaged. You cannot just say that I will summarily dismiss off because because you are talking to a large segment of people. You are in a democracy. How can you say that people are coming out on the streets? Number two, most importantly, when the whole agitation of so-called yesterday's rally went off peacefully, when everybody had gone home, a few thousand people were sitting there and Hardik was there. Even if he was sitting there, why did they have to go and lift him and
why did they have to arrest him?
take him to
police mishandling.
I think it was. I think it was completely irresponsible. Whoever is responsible, whether it's the state government, the chief minister, or the police, I don't know.
Okay.
But there was no need to indulge in all that.
Ijaz Ilmi.
And today I've seen and today I've seen some footage of some on some television channel, Gujarati channel, where the cops are going and vandalizing cars and breaking into people's homes. I don't think that is necessary.
Okay, I need to get the panel to react to all that you've said. Ijaz, will start with you.
Coming back to Praful, it is very evident that the government of Gujarat has been trying to reach out. They formed a 7-member committee
but it has been mishandled,
headed by Nitin Patel, and via medias and alternate solutions were offered to the community that all non-reserved category students, irrespective of which caste or creed or community they belong to, would get benefits of educational loans.
So how did it get to this point?
The fact is, if the crux is education and people who are poor, despite being dominant, you provide them a safety net. The government has been trying to reach out.
But we do have police high-handedness being part of the problem. But Akar Patel, what is the leitmotif here? Is it really about drawing a red line around reservations, or is there something else going on in Gujarat that we are not picking up?
That's part of it, but I would say it's also pure dadagiri, that you've got a community that feels entitled, that has kept the BJP in power there for 2 decades. The majority of legislators come from this community. There is a sense that what we want should come to a fruition, and I think that if there is a genuine grievance, as there is here, the insistence and the arrogance with which that demand is made. Had a Muslim man spoken in the way that Hardik Patel had spoken, we would be having a very different discussion, and all the panelists would have been saying something very different. The kind of sympathy we see for this kind of violent rhetoric is reserved for certain communities. I think that even if there is an underlying fault in the system, it applies to all of us. I think I totally disagree with people who say that reservations ought to be limited or be extended to the poor. Reservations are meant to reverse discrimination. I think if the poor face discrimination in the Patel community...
No, but Akar, exactly the point I'm making is, how do you keep it on in perpetuity? See, look, what you are saying is absolutely right. There was no violent rhetoric in his speech. All that he was saying was that, look, I am not in favor of Patel's reservation. I just want reservation to stop. If you stop the reservation, draw the line, I will withdraw. Please hear him out. He's not made these. He made a very clear statement on that.
Professor,
and nobody was listening to that. Nobody was listening to that.
There are two completely different interpretations here. One is this powerful, politically entitled community, as Akar says, sort of saying we've kept you in power, now we demand a pound of flesh. The other is economic dissatisfaction expressing itself and asking for a level playing field. Which one is it? Which one? Once again, Professor
Barkha. Barkha, how can you say that Patel is only a dominant community?
No,
I don't agree with you.
Akar Patel said that. Akar Patel said politically powerful community. Politically powerful.
The Brahmins were also, so you've gone against them. I'm not saying I'm a Brahmin. No. Akar is making a statement which is before YK comes in.
I have nothing against.
Why did he make a speech in Hindi? Did you see why was Hardik?
They are definitely not.
And not in Gujarat.
Otherwise, they are politically dominant, economically dominant.
Okay, one at a time. Let's get Professor. Let me get Professor YK
in every society.
Professor YK.
No, I think what we are doing is
Praful Patel, 1 second. Mr. Patel, 1 minute. Just 1 second.
We are putting in our agenda into the process rather than looking at this as a process.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason that deprivation has to be looked at only from the caste angle.
Yeah.
That is the first point, which is a point which I think others have been making.
Absolutely. That's the root of the problem.
You can think about it. You know what, the poverty line goes back to a task force that I chaired. So it is sometimes called the Alag poverty line. Now, it has nothing to do with calories anymore.
Yeah.
The deprivation issue is a very different issue.
Yeah.
And simply because some Patels are in New Jersey, doesn't mean that there aren't Patels who are feeling deprived. And you know, when we say that something is happening in Gujarat, Gujarat is still one of the most developed states in India, and it has a high growth rate. But if there are weaknesses in that development pattern and we don't address them, that is happening because people have agendas of their own. They are not looking at this situation in terms of what it is. And that is the issue.
Malika.
Yes, I agree with Professor Alag that there are personal agendas and political agendas, and that the needs of the weaker section, whatever community, whatever religion they are not being addressed.
Absolutely.
And in Gujarat, of course, the entire spew of self-financed colleges has also made the middle class cringe at the amount they need to pay for education. So the middle class is also feeling very pushed into a corner.
Yeah.
And I think that adds to the situation.
Yeah.
As long as we were talking about reservations only for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, who are basically agricultural laborers, the problem is not there.
Yeah.
But once you start talking about caste-based, remember, we anticipate your OBC. We called it the Bakshi Punch.
Yeah.
Once you start extending the process, the issue of poor people within a community becomes an important issue. And if you don't address that,
I have time just for last
one. Which is why the government reached out and said there should be a safety net.
Where do we go from here? Now, where do we go from here? Akash Patel, respond to what Praful Patel said.
You have to understand the process.
Okay, once again.
It's not that. I mean, are we willing to accept?
Sir, 1 minute. I want Akash to respond to what...
There are 1,800 villages in Gujarat which are actually towns.
Yeah.
Where these people go with their produce. Because people don't want just grain, they now want milk, cheese, and there are no markets there.
Yeah.
The last time I went to such a town, Barkhadat, I saw a lady being killed by an SUV. Because what you call a bazaar is somebody sitting on the street. And if that is the process, I mean, it might be much worse in a poorer state.
So let me take that to Akash Patel because he's the one who spoke about political entitlement. Akash Patel, Mr. Praful Patel objected strenuously to that, to your depiction of the community, your own community, as this politically entitled community.
I'm not saying it. Listen to what the speeches are saying. They are saying we are keeping you in power. The lotus is blooming because of us. We are responsible for this. We will pull you down. This is the sort of language that they have used. I have not said it. I'm saying it is manifest that they are doing this mobilization. It is aimed at the BJP. And they are saying very clearly in so many words that they are responsible for keeping it in power.
Yeah. So Praful Patel, I think that's what the reference was. That when he said we can bring down, we can bring down, you know, we can bring down the Modi government.
Even Chimanbhai Patel was a Patel, Babubhai Patel was a Patel, Keshubhai Patel was a Patel. The fact that Patels have been dominant politically and economically for a long, long time, but that doesn't take away that in every caste and community you have people who need the safety net, who are below a certain level, who need support.
But now that's for your government to reach out. Praful Patel, last comment, last word to you. Praful Patel, yes. I have to end. Last word to you.
Listen, if the Patels are large in number in Gujarat and if they are dominant, I don't think that should be an issue of debate here. The question is, if you're going on the larger issue, I said it earlier, the day you accepted Mandal, you've opened the floodgates of all these kind of demands which are coming up. And if you want to go back a little bit further in history, the first time the constitution was enacted, you had reservation only for 10 years.
Yes.
And that was extended subsequently, and I don't think any political party, including Mr. Modi, is going to turn back and say that we don't need reservations.
And yours, including yours, Praful, including yours.
Can we open the Pandora's box
now? Starts with Gujarat.
In
Gujarat we called it.
So therefore,
1984, 85.
Okay, let him just complete his point. I got to end. Praful Patel, complete your point. Yeah.
But on a lighter note, the Alags are in a minority. We also want reservation.
No.
There aren't too many Alags.
By the way, Sunil, I am a beneficiary if they get the reservation because I am a Lewa Patel.
But I am wanting one for the Alags. We are a real minority.
Okay, more seriously, 20 seconds. I have to end in 20 seconds.
Limited point is that this cannot be brushed under the carpet or cannot be forced down people's throat. It will have to be done through a proper process of dialogue. And I am surprised that a 22-year-old has been able to take leadership of such a large movement, and it's really something. Therefore, it needs introspection. That why are so many people out on the streets at the beck and call of a young kid, I would say.
Actually
and
a kid.
Therefore, this cannot be just simply ignored. I think serious effort will have to be made to resolve this issue.
Don't be surprised.
I have to say
Gujarat has a tradition of 50 years ago. The Navnirman agitation was again young people.
Yes.
And we have this going through independence.
So it cannot be ignored.
No,
remember, 7 people are dead. The army is deployed in Ahmedabad.
It will be in different states with different names.
But there's no substitute to peace. It has to be non-violent.
We will have to live there, a very fragile situation. Very fragile situation.
Don't be surprised if this will lead to a resurgence of the Jat movement again and
the Maratha movement
and competitive demands from other things. A lot to think about. We'll have to say thank you to our panel. Thank you so much, Akar Patel, Praful Patel, Malika Sarabhai Suni, to the two Alags, Ijaz Ilmi. Thank you so much for joining us on the Buck Stops here.